Howdy, y'all. I already kicked my stand. I'm gonna do it again. Ha! I'm gonna do it a third time. Maybe a fourth. Why not a fifth? Look at that. We'll see if the camera holds up. If y'all can handle the production quality I'm putting into this. And I've already stated that I don't want to edit these videos. I have before, kind of just throw them together. Because sometimes I actually talk too long. And then I have to put multiple videos together because my phone's like, you're using too much data. These videos are too long. Well, I like to keep this one short, even though I've said that before. This is really simple. It just popped into my head, so I want to make a video about it. And it's the understanding that God's love is not even conceivable to the human mind, especially when human love is so minuscule, it's so worthless compared to God's love and the love that he instills in Christ and the love that he instills in believers. And even then, what a believer knows love to be is still just a glimpse. It's just like a shrapnel of light. Like if this lamp is love, then this is what it's like to be a believer. So with love, I'm able to understand much more. I'm able to see more clearly. I'm able to be okay with what's happening around me because I am able to witness what is actually happening. We as humans, we come into this world typically with our eyes closed and crying our fucking eyes out. And we're in nothing but fear and pain. And it's because we long for something, we long for connection. Immediately we want to be, well, babies sometimes have like gunk in their throat, in their nose, so they have to be taken care of by the doctor, and then they're like immediately swaddled up and given to the mother if the baby is healthy enough. And even then, sometimes the baby is not healthy enough and they have to be put in the NICU or, just they have to be by themselves for a bit. And that's kind of what this life is like in a big scheme of things, is sometimes we're not able, well, none of us really are able to appreciate God's love unless he gives us the appreciation. It's a big flaw in religion, is that you are supposed to seek out love. You're supposed to seek out God. You're supposed to humble yourself enough. And it's just impossible. You're not able to do that. I didn't organize any scriptures to throw in here. I thought that I might. And then I just thought, fuck it, I'm just going to wing it because that's what I do. And this is where God has put me. I have the scriptures right in front of me. The recorded New Testament, literal New Testament. But I'm okay with just talking to you, having someone listen on the other side. Maybe someone will comment on this video. Maybe they won't, that's fine. Whatever God's will is perfect. I don't have to worry about shit. See, the person I was before I knew this truth, which was less than a year ago, it was March of last year, that God opened my eyes. See, I didn't open my own eyes. I didn't be like, oh, now I'm able to understand because I did something that brought me into this realization. No, it's totally God. I was in the worst place of my life, and Christ's work and faith became obvious. See, Christ is the only person ever to perfect the law that God gave to Israel. He's the only person ever to do it completely perfectly. He's the blameless and sinless Lamb of God, which is a sacrifice that the world was anticipating, and Israel didn't see their Messiah coming as Jesus. They saw someone coming in that was going to conquer for them, that was going to tear down kingdoms for them, and he was the opposite. He was a very well-spoken, poor carpenter from Nazareth who was pretty much the opposite of everything they expected. So they called him a blaspheming, demon-filled, evil man who was breaking the Sabbath and healing people when he was supposed to be doing nothing. It's just like, do you want the guy to give a shit or not? Do you want God to actually love you or not? And this is the thing about human love versus God's love is God gives us everything that we could not possibly expect. And by this I mean that your entire life was written before you were born. These words were written before I'm saying them. And the beauty is that it doesn't feel like that. It feels like I have self-control. Like, it feels like I'm the one who was able to get a cell phone. I was able to go get a tripod. I was able to go get a phone tripod case carrier thing, like to hold my phone. I was able to have grandparents that gave me this chair. I was able to have enough money and a job to get this apartment. Like, it was all mine. This is what I'm doing. I'm the one who pressed start on the record button. And the beauty is that God is so intricate that we couldn't, until you're made to believe the truth that everything has to happen in order for everything to return back to God. The church won't tell you that. They'll tell you that there's only a select few, that you have to do something that other religions will, well, I'm talking primarily about Christianity because they're the most corrupt and evil religion there is, because they literally blaspheme God. They say that God is incapable of saving everyone. They say that Jesus only saves those that choose him. And that is not love. Imagine that a mother has two kids. One of the kids, she loves them because of the things that they do. She loves them because, sorry, my dog's just non-stop licking his balls. See, that's the love of God. He just lets my dog just lick on his nuts. And I have to be like, hey man, stop. So I throw my wallet at him. I love you. I don't want you to get sores. But he doesn't know that. He would just lick all day until he had nothing left. And just a raw little penis. Raw little dog penis. He's a good boy, but he's also mega retarded. And so imagine that this kid does everything they can to earn their mother's love. But when it comes down to crunch time, they're unable to do it. They're unable to earn their mom's love. And this other kid, let's say that they do everything that the mother wants in front of her face, but behind her back, still struggles to do whatever, I'm kind of just trying to make up a scenario for a Christian. Because the thing about Christians, and if you go back to Jesus' time, the Pharisees, is that they did everything they could in their power, in their belief of free will, which is not real, to earn love. You can't earn unconditional love. That is a contradiction in and of itself. Because if it's unconditional, it doesn't matter what you do. If it's conditional, then it means that your behavior affects the love that the person giving you love is worth. Or the extent of, this is when it starts, this is when it stops. Maybe there's a gap where they don't love you and then they do love you again. Let's just say that. And the beauty of God is he loves all of his creation. He even creates vessels of honor and dishonor. in this life, and that is a contrast. That means there are evil people in this world. That means that there are inherently good people in this world. And you need both. And he doesn't make anything without purpose. He doesn't have a gust of wind go past your face without purpose. He does not make a cactus in the desert be able to have an owl live in it for no reason. He doesn't have a snowflake, an individual snowflake, fall from the sky in Idaho for no reason. You know, that's how small our minds are. We like to predict the weather, but we don't have the idea to understand that God has already willed and purposed every single sediment of rock to be carried by a wind in a dust storm. There is no limit to God's love. He is the depth of love. And that's the beauty of, after this life that we have here on earth, is when everyone is all in all, when God is in everyone and everyone is in God, the Spirit will move us and show us, I love this word, the multifarious wisdom of God. I'm actually going to look that up, just because I'm going to, multifarious. See, I like to use that word when I can, just because it's a big word, and it's only speaking of something positive, which is everyone returned. Everyone. I don't mean just humans. I mean cats, dogs, armadillos, angels, demons, Satan himself, Hitler, Jesus. Everyone returned back to God. And the thing is, the religious people of this world will tell you that that's not going to happen. That's because their idea of love is, like, if this is my idea of love, like, you can't even see the gaps between my fingers, they're negative. They literally are negative, to the point that they believe that God is incapable. Jesus' faith to God, which is what we rely on as believers, is the faith of Christ, which was him trusting his Father to kill him, to have him killed by those Roman soldiers. Like, the Roman soldiers are the ones that killed Jesus, literally. But in the absolute sense, God purposed that Jesus would die. And so, multifarious is the wisdom of God. Ephesians 3:10, manifold. It's the manifold. Ephesians 3:10. I'm going to look that up. Ephesians 3:10. See, we find Scripture. It's already here. I just have to have God tell me where to look. So, ooh, this is good. Let's So there's nothing that's promised in this life, but let's look at let's start at verse 6. It says, in spirit the nations are to be joint enjoyers of an allotment, or like a prize, or a gift, or like just something grand that you're coming into. And in spirit the nations are to be joint enjoyers of an allotment, and a joint body, and joint partakers of the promise in Christ Jesus, through the evangel of which I became the dispenser. This is Paul. And it's funny because the Christian church today does not understand Paul. They pretty much avoid him because his stuff is too complex, or it's hard to understand. That's because it's the only thing that anyone who is not a Torah practicing Israelite is supposed to understand. These are believers. Believers are the people that are ones who will understand Paul's gospel, which is the salvation of all, and those who would become, who are set apart before the disruption of the world from all non-believers, that Christ, his life, death, resurrection, and vivification, which means to be taken beyond the reach of death. So Jesus, it's impossible for Jesus to die now. It's that's the promise that Christ's faith accomplishes, in accord with the gratuity of the grace of God. And Paul's gospel is completely grace. The thing about grace is you don't earn grace. Grace is favor shown. What's the exact definition? It's like favor shown to one who does not deserve it. Let's just say that. You can look it up yourself if you don't believe me. That's a cut and chopped little version there. Which is granted to me in accord with his powerful operation. To me, less than the least of all the saints was granted this grace. So Paul is saying that he is worse, or he's not as good as the other saints. He's the least of all of the saints. All of the disciples, I would guess. All of Jesus' followers. He's saying he's the least of them, and yet he was given the greatest expectation. I think that has to do with chronological order, seeing as... No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't, because I think the snatching away happens just before the tribulation, and then just after the tribulation is the 1,000-year reign of Israel, their promised kingdom. And during that time, the body of Christ is together and complete, and all the people who are believers are given the mind of Christ. They're given the full understanding of Jesus Christ and everything that he knows, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I guess I'll have to know when we get there, but the mind of Christ is knowing that everything is purposed, that absolutely everything is purposed. Like right now, I only have my 5 senses to be able to understand this room that's going on around me. I can feel the carpet on my feet. I can kind of taste the plaque on my tongue as I just woke up and haven't brushed my teeth. I can see myself in this video. I can hear myself talk. I don't even know the other sense. Oh, smell. Yeah, I just blew my nose, but it's kind of plugged up. But once we're beyond that, this is our fleshly understanding. Imagine that there is an entire spiritual realm happening around us right now, and we just can't see it. I mean, if you've ever done drugs or, just been given an elevated mindset from God, then you understand that there is shit around us that we cannot see or understand until or unless we are made to understand it, which is only the will of God. All right. To me, less than the least of all saints was granted this grace, to bring the evangel of the untraceable, which means you can't find it, riches of Christ to the nations, which is everyone except for Israel, and to enlighten all as to what is the administration of the secret that God has purposed that everyone will be saved. And then, which has been concealed from the eons in God. So the eons are the times that we are going through now. The eons are segmented into 5 parts. I've talked about this before, and we are currently in the 3rd. The first one was when the world was just spiritual beings. It was just the Elohim, the gods, or what you call angels and demons, and Jesus Christ is part of the Elohim. It's a plural for God, and it's a lowercase g. There's only one uppercase G, one. There's only one God, and it's not Jesus. Jesus is not God. He is the best representation of God. But that was the first. The second was when Noah was around. And then after the flood, that was pre-flood. And then after the flood, that was the third eon, because the world had been cleansed in a way. And then it became wicked again because, well, that's where we're living now. And some people want to say that Israel's kingdom came, but if you look around, I still see death. I still see pain. I still see people not getting the truth. I don't see very many Israelites walking around and teaching the gospel of Peter. It's the era that fucking killed Jesus. I wouldn't say it's that good of an eon, but it's leading up into the fourth, which is Israel's reign, and the fifth, which I understand very little about the fifth eon. This is some revelation stuff when you get into the fifth, and the fourth, of course, because that's Israel's time to reign on earth with Jesus. The administration of the secret, which has been concealed from the eons in God. So it's only God who gives us awareness of the eons. It's the Christian world will tell you, oh, forever and ever, or eternity. Like, eternity is a thing, but we are not understanding that yet. We don't need to understand that yet. That is when everyone is saved. That is when everyone is in God, and His Spirit is in everyone, animating each of us. Right now, most of the world is fleshly, and in that I mean we operate in a soulish manner. We operate according to our own desires. We don't. It's like in Romans 7, Paul says, "I do what I don't want to do, and I don't do what I do want to do," and that is sin in me. Sin is not all that powerful compared to God and His Spirit, but when sin is the only operating measure that you have, that's when we divide ourselves into sects of good people, bad people, self-righteous people, actual righteous people. It's just like, it's overbearing to understand the morality of a sinful person. But for a believer, you don't see sin. God sees Christ in your place. He doesn't see your sin. He sees you a million miles down the road, seated in the celestials, in the heavens, not just heaven. So there's heaven, and then there's the heavens. So there's many, many realms that we cannot see. And the beauty of this is that we're blinded by God. When people tell you, oh, you have to have more faith, you have to believe, they're full of shit. They don't know what they're talking about. They are speaking from a self-righteous, soulish idea of faith. They think that it's up to them, when really it is all through the faith of Christ. Here, I'll read that to you right now. In Ephesians chapter 2, verse 8, it says, "For in grace through faith are you saved, and this is not out of you." How fucking obvious is that? That it's not out of you. It is God's approach present, not of works, lest anyone should be boasting. For His achievement are we, being created in Christ for good works, which God makes ready beforehand that we should be walking in them. So, right there, it says God makes beforehand. He knew this video was going to happen. I didn't know this video was going to happen. I actually thought, maybe I won't make a video. But that was my own thought. And I was like, fuck it. I just brought in my tripod, set it up, started talking. And again, if anyone gets anything out of this, thank you. thanks for being purposed by God to understand, really is what I'm saying. You can't avoid the purpose that is set up for your life. It's impossible. The future really is inevitable. Even if you died right now, or let's say after I explain it to you. Let's say you die right after I explain this, that your life has purpose. When you die, you still will have life beyond the death. Because, again, everyone is saved. Everyone is brought up and brought to the judgment throne where Christ either tells people, yep, you're going on to life, or you're going on to the second death, you know? And that's way down the road. That's nothing I gotta worry about. So death is just like sleep without a dream. You go take a nap, you're out. You wake up and you're like, oh, I've been out for hours. And you look at the clock, you've been asleep for 10 minutes. You know, it's like, what? Doesn't even make sense. How do we as humans, we can't even understand time. How could we understand love? And God has purposed both of them to be exact. Like, when you love a woman, when you love a man, when you love a significant other of any kind, you are infatuated with them, and then you might feel like you have to work. Like, it depends on the personality and the person and whatnot, but you are not given the understanding of what your love means. Your love means so little compared to what God truly has love for you. And He's going to break your heart through life. He's going to give you rough patches. He's going to give you horrible relationships. He's going to give you amazing relationships. And it's all going to be for appreciation and contrast. That's what this entire life is for you to, one, either come into belief or not, which is simple. So that's two. Or three, not or, and three, that you would appreciate life because you know that death sucks. How many funerals have you been to in your life? And how many funerals are you going to have for your life? You would think that the 17 funerals that you go to over your lifetime are just horrible and tragic, and you only have one funeral. You're just one life. Does that mean that your life is insignificant because you've experienced so much death? No, that's ass backwards, but that's what this world wants you to believe. This world wants to tell you that you're insignificant, that you have to find purpose, that you have to create your own purpose. And the beauty is that you don't have to do shit. I could go sit on my couch and just melt into it, and just literally melt into it. Like, stop going to work, stop showering. I could just start shitting my pants. I could start peeing my pants, and God would still love me. I could die on that couch, and God would still. I'm already made to believe these things. So when I die, He'll just raise me from the dead, and I'll be snatched away with the other believers when the time comes. I'm not worried about anything. Like, if any of you know me, which a lot of this world might not know me, is because I'm just putting this out on YouTube, is that I used to worry and give everyone's perspective of me made me who I was. I didn't want to do that, but that's what I did. And it was scary. Everywhere I walked, every store I went into, every place I went, I was like ready to just spill my guts and spill my heart to people, because I was just so worried about what everyone thought. I was like, I walk in a room and I just assumed that they knew everything about me. And it was terrifying, but it was also like a relief when someone was like, oh, you're good, dude. You're fine. I'm just like, oh my God, thank God you said so, because otherwise I'm not, And even then, it's like, are you sure? Are you sure I'm okay? You really think I'm good? And I was like, damn, how fucking pitiful is that? I thought I was being humble, and really I was just being, in a way, self-righteous. In a way, I was hoping that other people were building up this little kingdom underneath of me for me to be like, look at all these people that approve of me. Look, I'm a celebrity amongst some folks, It's just like, what? It was horrible. It was just until March of last year that I was doing this, and now I love everyone. I love every opportunity and every breath that I take, every blink that my eyes have, every gust of wind that passes my face. I can't stop thinking of the work of Christ. And speaking of Christ, let me jump back into Ephesians 3, going to verse 8. To me, less than the least of all saints, was granted this grace, to bring the evangel of the untraceable riches of Christ to the nations, and to enlighten all, meaning all, not some, all people, all dogs, all cats, even Christians, even Hitler, even Mussolini, even Satan, even everybody, fucking everybody, to enlighten all as to what the administration of the secret which has been concealed from the eons in God, who creates all, that now may be known. God, who creates all. It's like Paul is, if you read through Paul, he's repetitive as fuck. He will say the same thing 10 times because he's like, all right, I'm going to make this foolproof. So I'm going to say it 10 times, different ways, but it's the same meaning. God, who creates all, that now may be known to the sovereignties and the authorities among the celestials, meaning the angels and the Elohim, those spiritual beings that were there in the first eon, that now may be known to the sovereignties and the authorities among the celestials through the ecclesia, which is just set apart through the ecclesia, the believers, the multifarious wisdom of God, in accord with the purpose of the eons. The purpose of the eons is to bring everyone to a point of judgment and thus understanding and appreciation of Christ Jesus' accomplishments in faith. The multifarious wisdom of God, in accord with the purpose of the eons, which he makes in Christ Jesus our Lord. I just said that, but Paul literally said it. In whom we have boldness and access with confidence through his faith. Remember when I read back in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 8? And this is not of you. You are saved through faith, and this is not of you. That's what chapter 3, verse 13 says. Through his faith, through Christ's faith. Not mine. I didn't make myself believe. I was standing in my bathroom, straight up being talked to by demons in my head. I'm not going to fuck around and say that this isn't real. I was having thoughts that I could never imagine myself having. And I was having all of them at once. And they were telling me, don't trust, you need to trust your friends. You need to listen to those people that tell you that you might have psychosis. You need to listen to those, might need to take medication for depression. You might need to, it's the drugs talking. It's, and I was just like smoking weed at the time. But even then, paranoia is like immense. And it's like your dad's not telling the truth. He's full of shit. And all I could do in that time was say, not of my father's faith. It's not of my father's faith, which is somewhere in the scriptures. I can't remember where, but it says that a person is not saved because of the faith of their father. Like my dad, he's believed this stuff for some time, and I'm not saved because he's saved. That's what God is saying. And all right, I'll return back this. Through his faith. Wherefore I am requesting you not to be despondent at those of my affliction for your sake, which are your glory. Despondent. We're going to look up despondent. I know this video is coming lengthy now. I didn't plan that. I told you to be short, but what do I know? Despondent. Well, the Greek word for that is engekakio, in evil. Wherefore I am requesting you not to be despondent at those of my affliction, for your sake, which are your glory. So earlier when it said, through the ecclesia, where it says, who creates all? God. Who creates all, that now may be made known to the sovereignties and the authorities among the celestials through the ecclesia. What that's saying is the body of Christ will be like Israel on earth. When they have the 1,000-year reign, they are going to be the ones that go across the earth and preach the religion of God, like the true religion that is the understanding of Christ Jesus and God's law, which Jesus came and broke down that law to the simplicity of love your neighbor and love yourself. Two things: love your neighbor, love yourself. Very simple. And the believers, the ecclesia, the called out ones, those who are given faith by God. Remember what I said, this is not of you. Oh, is it going to focus? You can see that. This is not of you. This is not of you. Not of you. We are going to be the ones who are rearranging the hearts of the celestial beings, the sovereignties of the celestials. My lips bleed. Tastes like it, whatever. But this is the thing, people. The whole system of God's creation is being brought back to him. Go look at 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 20, we could start at like 18, but like 22 through 28. When it says all in all, that means everyone. Because Adam sinned, which wasn't his choice, but he sinned. He brought sin and damnation into the world. Jesus reconciled everything. He brought everything back to where it was supposed to be. Like, Jesus' life, death, and resurrection and vivification is greater than the one sin that Adam did of eating from the tree of the wisdom of good and evil. I'm sure it was a great fruit, or whatever, could have been. Are there any vegetables that grow on trees? I don't know, honestly. But it could have been a great, delicious bite. But, then he saw that he was naked and he was full of shame. But then he had appreciation for what he had before. He's like, fuck, I shouldn't have done that. God damn it. But that's the thing, too, is Jesus made it so that we can do anything. We can be anything. We can say anything. And we don't have to worry because the focus is on him. That's called grace. God looks at his son and sees us. God looks at us and sees his son. It's like Jesus is this filter in front of us. And because of that, it makes everyone who believes this righteous. Or at least knowably righteous. And later on, everyone will have this understanding, but for now, it's just a select group of people. And it's nothing I did. It's nothing any other believer did. This is not arrogance speaking. This is the Spirit of God working and willing to hopefully bring in the final members so that we can get the fuck out of here, because god damn it, this life sucks. But I'm thankful for it. And I'm thankful for the time that I have here, because it's building up my appreciation for what Christ did continually. It's all I think about. It's all I care about. And eventually it's all I'm going to know when I am with Christ. Oh, where was that verse? It said, where we become a joint body and joint partakers of the promise of Christ through the evangel, which I became the dispenser. Well, Paul, I'm eager to be there, to be the literal body and metaphorical and physical and spiritual body of Christ. Right now, I'm just Seth with my shit skin and my comb over hairdo. I just woke up. This is how it looks, whatever. But that full appreciation of Christ is going to be fucking glorious, and I'm so stoked for it. And right now, the little bit of faith that I got to get me to the end of the eon is just, it's all I think about, and I'm so thankful. All right, thanks for listening, y'all. Peace.